enjoy this for its grace and delightful shapes that John Gowdy and John Dodd will now perform for you in two lovely little aircrafts. They come out of the van's collection of aircraft. These are RV4s. Team instrumental in forming up this team in 2015 along with his wingman Andy Durston, as they both sharing an ambition to start up their own display team. They're now in their fourth season together as the Fireflies, but actually contracting out some of the work to their other chums who fly with them in the Warbirds you're going to see later on. They perform around 20 shows a year, not just here but around Europe as well, based from a little private strip in the West Sussex countryside. Now achieving well over 100 displays. New members, Doddy as he's known, along with John here, but also John Corley and Nigel Reed, also been flying these aircraft in and out of the ultimate Warbirds as well. Having been trained up to perform these formation aerobatics, not something they've done much before, and John Dodd, well-known member of the Warbird community with a wealth of experience.
Yes, John Dodd grew up in Scotland, and during his school 4 years he was a key model flyer, also an air training corps with the ATC. He went to Dundee University where he studied electrical engineering and electronics, and he started flying C-152s at Dundee Flying Club. Once graduating from there, he embarked on a career as a research scientist for the Ministry of Defence at Farnborough, and there he started to fly Chipmunks, Tiger Moths and the Tipsy Nipper. There was also an opportunity for him to fly in the RAF Douglas DC-3. I was talking to John earlier this morning, and he did ask us to make sure we passed on extreme thanks to Wave 105, who are sponsoring this display for you today.
And I'm just going to drop into the cockpit and listen to John Gowdy. There you go, that's John. We'll chat about him in a little moment or two. But these aircraft, American-built vans, light aircraft, and hugely successful, probably the most successful range of home-built aircraft in the world by many, many miles indeed. This RV4 series celebrating its 40th year now. Well over 10,000 of these various aircraft are now flying with 9 different variants of them. You can put one of these together in your own backyard for a few bob. Well, maybe a couple bob and all, but they are indeed delightful aircraft to fly, very aerobatic. They've got the ability to fly between 50 and 200 miles an hour, and aerobatically from plus 6G to minus 3G, with a bit of room in there for touring as well, and very economic to fly. A lovely split sequence here, where one John pulls up early, the other one continues, and he'll tag along the back very neatly, and this is what pairs formation flying is all about. And just look at the perfect timing that has been produced in that manoeuvre. All that happens now is John Dodd just creeps up on the power very slowly. He fixes on references on the side of the lead aircraft, and that is how they work it out together. And then John Gowdy, that is, in the lead, has to maintain the direction, speed, and the right series of manoeuvres with relatively gentle manoeuvres. And they're now tucked in nicely. And you notice the command is on that final syllable, that final just hint of a word up, and it's on the boop of that. That is when the control input goes in, so that the wingman knows exactly when to put his control input as well, and that is how they work together. You'll see this replicated later on, particularly with the blades when they come on the foreship. Stunning display that they will give it is absolutely on the word of command, and it's always very clear, very precise, and of course practiced and rehearsed time and time and time, and that's practicing mainly done in the early part of every season. There you see. on the end of now, when the control input went in, they put in that little twist into this wonderful split.
Rolling left.
John Gowdy, the lead pilot for you today on this display, started gliding when he was 14 years old at Southdown Gliding Club, and his display flying began, believe it or not, when he was 17 years old as the tow pilot for a glider display team. He completed his commercial pilot's license back in 2001, and as most of his display experience is time spent with Air Atlantic. He's flown the Dragon Rapide, the de Havilland Vampire, the Twin Pioneer, and his personal favourites, the iconic DC-3. He was a member of the Twister Duo team before forming Fireflies with Andy Durston, as George said to you a little while ago. And when he's not displaying for you here today, he's an airline pilot flying a Boeing 747 out of Heathrow.
These particular aircraft were actually imported. They didn't make them themselves. They found these aircraft in Baltimore and Houston, dismantled them, brought them back in a container, then put them together for inspection in 2015, and there they went on. And now very well known, very consummate display pilots, incredibly busy as well. John Gowdy himself flew 3 times yesterday, although not many of you will have appreciated that.
Excellent photo opportunity here as the planes come together.
To the crowd now.
It's just a lovely relaxed voice, isn't it? But of course it's come as a result of all those hours of practice, and a huge amount of trust is required between each of the team members. It's a very close personal relationship in any formation display team, and it's also a huge amount of fun. It's very, very satisfying. Sort of thing I do with a couple of vintage aircraft in my spare time as well. It's a great pleasure to do that, but it's even greater pleasure to do it in front of people appreciating it at the same time. So at the end of this, we'll get you to give them a good wave off as well. They're not fitted with any inverted fuel systems, these, and therefore they've got to keep a positive loading on the airframe at all times, other than just straight and level, to ensure, of course, that the engine continues to run.
Rolling right.
Just fantastic. He's almost asleep, isn't it? They're so relaxed and comfortable doing this, and they've performed it so many times, and it's always a pleasure. Wonderfully synchronized flying. So after that roll, they're going to turn out and they're putting what's called a derry. That's where you turn one way. So you roll to the left, but he's actually maneuvering the aircraft to the right. Made famous by John Derry and used as a combat maneuver. Smoke, of course, all part of the environmentally sound baby oil family of smoke dispensers, and often referred to as on the putting up now, positive G coming on. They'll be looking over their shoulders, over the top of that, and they do that to ensure that the aircraft is wings level. They also, at the top of the loop, checking their speed as well to ensure that they recover in good height. Putting up now to what we call a half Cuban. They almost look as though they're going through the loop, but as they look over their shoulders, they check the stick forward, and as they've done that, to correct the descent, they just put in 180 degrees of roll. He mentioned that he was going to roll out on the B. Now the axis we use, very simple here in all our displays. You see a line of buoys going left to right. That's the A axis, as we refer to it. And the B axis is pretty much in this setting, straight out over the top of RFA Line Bay. Very often people will refer to the 45, and they're just the angles off, coming left off the Isle of Wight or right off the Purbeck Hills there. And that gives a variety to how we put a display together. The rest is then all about altitude and speed. And right now they're John calling for the final manoeuvre of the afternoon, which I know, like the smiley face, a manoeuvre to show their appreciation to all of you down there passing their love. You can guess what's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, the loving heart, you've been watching John Gowdy and John Judd, the Fireflies.
Such a beautiful display from those guys, and I have to say, George, as always, the natural amphitheatre of the Bournemouth Bay here, really adding something to that display. And ladies and gentlemen, when you're watching this, boys and girls, please do feel free to wave to the pilots, because they're flying at about 150 feet. As a minimum height, the height of the cliffs here are 120 feet, and so you have the unique ability to be eye to eye with these pilots, and they really do like to look across when it's safe to do so, and see you guys smiling at them and waving and letting them know how much fun you're having here today.
Well, we've just woken up Flight Lieutenant Ollie Bayliss, who is lovely there, sitting back enjoying the sunshine, because we heard a little bit of a whine on the radio there, which means the next aircraft is ready to come and join us. It should be running in just a minute or so. Keep your eyes peeled well out to sea. You may get an early sight of it. I can certainly see it. What about you, boys and girls? It's right over there on the horizon. It is one of UK's most favourite displays, and also comes from a team of guys that are pretty much hard at work, and they've been in the news recently. We've got a minute or two to run, and